What is going on, my super sandwiches? Rhymestyle here. Wait, I'm doing it wrong. So, about the 300 million celebration and what it's introducing in Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, because it tells me something around that. So, something happened this past week. Has it been a week already, D-Free?
It's been a few weeks, but yeah.
Has it already been? Okay, recently in Dokkan, something was introduced that kind of became controversial, but I feel like it's not out there yet to the point where a lot more people need to be talking about it. Obviously, when the initial leaks happened, a lot of people were upset at transformation restrictions for both for Cell, technically he's an android, for Cell and for Gohan. Gohan, as you guys know, has to wait 5 turns and has to be below 58% to transform. Or D-Free, what is plan B?
Have a 16 on your team. And below 58%.
Which nobody wants, except for the 10 people in the world that like Android 16. Now,
no. They did drop that busted one, so there's that. It's just the problem is, in order to maximize it, you really need to pull Cell, too, to run him as the leader.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Here's the issue with that, and this is why it's a problem. D-Free, what is the big law in Japan that says you can't do in gachas?
Oh, we're going to do that. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do that. What is the big law in Japan that says you can't do?
Well,
let me answer that for you,
man. You can't. Long story short, you can't have a card pretty much require another card that you have to pull for.
In other words, we talked about this before. You can't do something like release, let's say, a Goku and a Vegeta, make you pull for both, and then they fuse in the game. There's literally like laws and restrictions behind that because I guess it's way too, it's against the law in Gacha world because like to pull for one is one thing, but to pull for 2 for both units to work, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a big no-no.
It's pretty much taboo.
Yeah.
Which is why you'll notice this game and every other game that does similar things. They actually found the loopholes because you pretty much will kill your game if you do it. Like literally, so you'll get your game shut down.
The loophole for the fusion thing, which we actually talked about in past videos, is if they can make like a unit be summonable and then have a free unit that goes along with it. So let's say have a summonable Goku and release a free-to-play Vegeta. They fuse together. I think they do it in Buchigiri with Gotenks. So
Goku and Vegeta too. They've done it. Buchigiri's done it like 3 times. So yeah.
Now here's the problem. Here's the problem with Dokkan and why it's a big no-no. They found a loophole in basically requiring you, not really requiring you, optionally, having you have to pull for 2 units to basically use 1 unit in a easier way. And that, of course, is the Gohan and a 16 situation. Now, initially, like I said, when this came up, I didn't really care about it as much because, I'm kind of used to units coming out in Dokkan and not really working up to our standards. Like, obviously, I'm still, pretty annoyed at Vegito from, a year and a half ago, where you have to wait 6 turns and be, like, below a specific amount of HP. That rarely happens. And again, that's one thing, but the problem with this is it sets the precedence for the future. So the thing that I'm worried about is in the future, we'll get more units like that require you to have multiple units to actually really use 1 unit. What's the big joke that Goresh said?
Oh, he was saying, we're going to get an SSG Goku that needs everybody that completed the circle with him. And they were like, oh, pregnant Videl, Gohan, everybody. And he'll only be SSG for 1 turn. All on your team, like all time. Yeah, like that's incredibly extreme, but it was pretty funny.
It's not going to happen. But again, it sets the future up for potentially that happening. This reminds me when Legends first got LF units and basically they locked Beerus behind a ticket. And at the time, a lot of us were debating back and forth, like, is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Whatever. And then ever since then, LF units in Legends became kind of annoying. And to those who don't play, basically legendary finish units are like the LRs of that game. And they're really hard to pull. They're usually locked behind a ticket or they have these like crazy, like ridiculous rates. And after they tested the waters with LF initially with Beerus, it just became worse and worse and worse down the line. And hopefully one day, they figure out a better way to handle that in Legends. Because I love Legends, but I hate LF units and the whole summoning aspect of it. Now with Dokkan is going to introduce basically a way to, like I said, skip over that loophole and basically allow you to, allow them to sell us essentially multiple units just so we can really use 1. Now again, this is the optional part. The optional part is you don't need 16, and that's why I guess it's the legal loophole.
Let me kind of interject here, because the thing about this is I think it's very important that people understand this, because it's not as cut and dry as, okay, if this card requires this card, it's flat out illegal. For example, like I mentioned earlier, it would be complete gotcha suicide. Dokkan did nothing wrong here. in the context of legality, right?
Yep.
They found a way to, regardless of what Gohan's other conditions are, because you can have an android on your team and be below the restriction, turn limits, or whatever. Also, versus an android or with 16, there's 3 different ways you can transform Gohan. But regardless of that, the key thing is they don't specifically say, okay, you need to summon for int 16 with this ID number and have him on your team. That's the key thing, because if you look at every other character in the game that's restricted, because even Gohan is another one. He has the Goku, Super Saiyan Goku thing. Well, every other condition like that, whether it's Nail, whether it's Chi-Chi, that want Goku Kid or like Kid Gokus or like Piccolos or whoever, all of them have free alternatives, and that's the key thing. There's a free 16, there's this and that. There are always going to be little loopholes that they'll kind of interject, and I just want to say, this is where the game is going to go from here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They've introduced it. They've done it with numerous units since they introduced it with Nail and Piccolo, and they're going to keep on going, right? But the thing is that they're going to always have an avenue or 2 or 3 to where it literally lets them skirt by any problems. Because, again, in the context of legality, they've done nothing wrong because they have this and that and this and that options for you, and there's always a free alternative. But the problem is, like you said, in terms of Gohan specifically, because Cell is a whole different thing because he doesn't have this as like a thing. He just has that really low restriction.
But in terms of Gohan, yet. And not that they're going to add it later, but I'm saying, like, again, the problem is the future.
Or something,
is the future. Again, the next big LR that comes out, they could very well do something worse.
Well, like, I was going to say, like...
Imagine having, like, a Spirit Bomb Goku that requires you to have, like, a Vegeta on the team as well. You know, like the one that was holding Kid Buu back while he was charging Spirit Bomb. Imagine it's like, oh, in order to use a Spirit Bomb, you need to have Vegeta on your team or something like that.
Like, again, they're going to do it. They're going to keep doing it. It's just going to happen because this is the model that they found, and they're probably going to do this as their new thing going forward to try to spice up the game more, regardless of how players feel about it.
And there's nothing we can do.
No, there really isn't. But I think that the Gohan thing is a good example because, like I mentioned earlier, you really have to pull, like, okay, so let me say this. You don't necessarily have to pull Cell because there are other Cell Saga leaders, which is why I said they've implemented ways to kind of get around it. Like the Krillin that just came out in the Baba Shop, he's a Cell Saga leader. You can use him as your leader technically if you want to get a weaker boost and get the same result. Well, I guess a weakened result, but like ideally you summon for Cell, use him as your leader. You put Gohan on the team, and then you have 16 on the team because the thing about 16 is 16 doesn't have any categories with Gohan at all. That's the thing. There's no way to do it. Otherwise, they pretty much made it to where you have to run a Cell Saga leader, or you can do the thing that people keep trying to proposition to me that I'm just completely against, which is, put 16 on the team anyway, just because, even though he's not a part of any category. You shouldn't have to do that. That's bad design.
See, I also hate that creates basically a blockade of like your freedom and how you create teams.
Correct.
I personally, look, I pulled the Gohan. Yeah, I saw the video. To those who haven't seen it, go check it out. And I'm happy. I'm 1,000 stones deep on basically both of these banners. So about, I want to say 700 deep alone in the Gohan banner with no 16. I didn't get the 16. 16 is easier to pull. Didn't get them. So you mean to tell me I finally get the Gohan, I spent 1,000 stones overall trying to get an LR, and I can't properly, I mean, I guess I can run any Android, right?
Yeah. So he has, again, his Kamehameha category has Cell units in there. You can do that, right? So, like, it works regardless, but 16
But again,
it's
not about it's not about the now. It's not about the now. Again, this is clearly them testing the waters.
Well, it's just, that's the point. It's like, it sets the precedence because, again, like I was going to say, Gohan even has another restriction. When he is transformed, you need a Super Saiyan 1 Goku card on your team. They just dropped a free alternative, sure, the tech one, who's really good, but everybody's expecting a Bye Guys Goku LR for part 2. So we're gonna have a situation where Cell Saga leader Cell, Gohan, 16, and Bye Guys Goku, who's probably gonna be nuts, are all required to pull out.
If that comes out, by the way, that's just the current rumor. That's just the current rumor.
If it comes out, but I'm saying like all 4 of those cards are required to maximize Gohan.
Yeah,
because
which
of the
is
situation
ridiculous.
they've created, right? So
I see. I again, a lot of times people always say YouTubers need to speak out about certain things that happen within these games. This is us speaking out about it, and I'm telling you, there's probably nothing that's gonna be done about this. Like even if the Dokkan team sees this video, they're not gonna care. They're gonna still do it. So I guess the question goes to people watching this: is this a big deal to you? Do you care? Do you not care? Like what would like what's going in your mind? Basically, is what I'm trying to say as like the player of these games. Because, you know, like I said, the second this happened, I knew exactly what they were doing. Because me and D3 have talked about this for literally years with the whole concept of, like, you know, having 2 cards required to fuse into one. And, you know, we mentioned before
the same thing, pretty much.
It's illegal. But this is literally that loophole to do that. They release a card, and they make you want to pull on another card just so you can use that one card better. And then imagine, like, how deep it's gonna go, how much more we're gonna get. And again, the big joke is, imagine they release a Super Saiyan God Goku one day that requires you to run all the Saiyans, including Videl, on the same team, basically restricting you to only use one kind of team to use one card.
And
Why?
I wanna add to, like, in terms of like the bad design that Gohan is, there are literally teams that Gohan cannot transform on. Like, unless he's versus an Android event, which is, there's only so many of those. If he's on like Hybrid Saiyans, it's impossible to transform. Literally, he can't do it.
I'll be real with you. I had this card for like a week now. I have not even seen a transformation once, and I don't think I'm going to either. You know, in the past, I used to be against like them having transformation to take like 4, 5, 6 turns, because even that's a long time. Even Gogeta takes a long time to transform sometimes, and he's one of the more easier ones to transform. Like a lot easier. Yeah. Isn't it just like what, 5 turns?
5 turns, yeah.
Flat out 5 turns.
Yeah, I'm take
cool
that
with that.
any day.
But even then, it's like a lot of times, like, you might not see that because the events go by so fast. I don't know. Again, this is just me doing this video for the purpose of starting a discussion amongst the community, and I want to see what you guys think about that, because you might not care. Maybe we're just overdoing it, overthinking it. Maybe like everyone's for it.
I think it'll be okay. I think that right now there's a lot of outrage among the community because it's something new and it does limit team options, but I think as we go and see what it becomes, it'll be okay.
That's my biggest problem. Like right now, I don't think it's that bad. Despite how much of a fiasco it is with Gohan alone, I don't think it's that bad yet. I'm just like looking at the past of what Bandai has done with multiple stuff, what they've done with legendary finish units and legends, and how much worse it has gotten. Again, this is clearly to test the waters. So the next time we get a big banner, and they introduce something like that, it could be way worse. And that's when we're like, we have to figure out as a community what we can do about that. Some kind of like feedback to send to them. Like they got to get some kind of backlash for that. Because again, I know what they're doing. They're trying to make us, they're forcing us to pull for units multiple times outside the main unit that we want. That way they can increase a bigger revenue stream for their game.
Bingo.
Again, I mean, look, make money in your game with
smart
whatever,
business.
But technically it's a smart business move. But like, come on, guys, like. That's not the dope way to do this.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll cover this again in the future, depending on what happens in the future. This is just again to kind of get discussion going within the community. Tweet amongst yourself, talk amongst yourself, Reddit amongst yourself. Everybody kind of get this topic out there, because again, this is something that I feel like could be really, really bad for the game in the long run if they take it in the wrong direction. Again, I don't think the Gohan thing is that bad yet, because you got those options like you can run them on.
Nah, bro, we still hit number 1 multiple times, so I don't know.
I mean they're hype units, but it's like the summoning aspect is one thing, but like once we have them and realize, man, I thought he's transformed. That's when it becomes a problem. So it's like we're still kind of like in that high phase of like we're all excited about pulling for them. But now it's like people are going to soon realize that like all the stuff that's required to go into it. I didn't even know that you needed Goku for the Gohan.
So he doesn't get a 59% attack boost, which is actually pretty significant because it's multiplicative.
Oh, that's all it is?
It's a really significant bonus.
Okay. So that's just it is. It's just an extra damage bonus.
Yeah, but when he's transformed.
Okay. Oh, that's why I wouldn't know. I've never seen him transform. I don't know. We're going to end this discussion right here. Just let us know in the comment section below what you think about this. Is this a good thing, bad thing, where you fear this could be going, or is it going to be no problem at all? Maybe it's going to add some more diversity in the future. Or, again, just feel free to let us know anything down below. But other than that, I guess stay tuned for the next banner, and we'll see what happens in the near future. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more, I guess. We'll see you next time. Peace.